ultimate precondition is divine revelation. And this relates then to, you have to disprove every worldview. No, I don't. Because this is, again, a mistake. That was the first mistake, right, of not understanding higher order and lower order argumentation. When you confuse those two, that's when you might think, I have to disprove every single worldview. No, all I have to do is disprove, given what my argument is. So don't straw man my argument. If you want to deal with my argument is that every worldview has basic assumptions in ethics, metaphysics, and epistemology. You're very limited in the number of steps you can go in each one of those domains. For example, is reality created or uncreated? Right? Is it eternal or does it have a beginning in time? Is knowledge possible or impossible? Is there an external world or not? Are there objective ethics or not? So I can structure a bunch of either ors, and every step that the theoretical opponent takes will determine the rest of that system down the road, down the line, right? So for example, if my opponent says that, as most of these people do, knowledge claims are purely relative, ethics are relative, okay? Those are really strong claims that will determine the rest of that worldview. I mean, that's pretty much a dead end box right there. And that's most people, right? But as you can see, you are actually very limited. There aren't very many. I mean, I could even boil it down to one thing or many things. Is reality ultimately one or many or both? You're limited in those options. And in fact, most religious worldviews out there, most of them, are either monist or dualist. So when we understand that this is actually how worldviews function, that every worldview by necessity can be boiled down to very limited either or starting points. There's not an infinite number of worldviews. The variations in worldviews are down the line. Let's give an example. Most worldviews, as we said, are monist or dualist. If you have basic presuppositions in your metaphysics of monism or dualism, that's going to condition pretty much everything else in the rest of the worldview in a lot of ways, right? For example, everything is one, man. Let's use monism. That's going to condition and necessarily determine the way that I view knowledge claims. I'm not going to turn around and be like, well, everything is one, but I'm a distinct being who has knowledge. No, I'm also part of the one. Right? So monism, pantheism, these are very strong determining forces in the paradigm when we make those kinds of statements, when we have those kinds of views. Now, granted, a lot of people are inconsistent, right? So they're not always going to be consistent. But that has nothing to do with the fact that a person believes, for example, that all reality is one, but I'm a distinct individual. That's inconsistent. That doesn't mean that he actually has a unique worldview. He doesn't. There's countless people who have this goofy, inconsistent worldview. So I could take it in either direction. I could say, well, if everything is one, then you're part of the one and you don't actually know that you are a distinct you. So that's a fundamental contradiction, right? That's pretty obvious, right? So there's a limited number of steps that anybody could take. There's not an infinite number of worldviews, literally. You could boil it down to something or nothing, right? Basic metaphysical things, right? Do things exist or not, right? I could just list any number of really easy either ors that will determine where you have to go in your worldview. And every worldview of necessity has some limited number of steps that it can go in any of those basic kinds of questions. It's unavoidable. And literally, that's all I have to do. Now, why is that? Because reality is structured a certain way. For example, everybody will be forced to use basic concepts like unity, duality, multiplicity, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. There's no other ways that we do and describe things than those types of things. This will lead into our argument later, right? So everything is classed in terms of one thing distinct from other things. That's unity and multiplicity, the one and the many, right? And all of the numerals are classed under one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we have the Arabic numeral system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's take something like the Tetractys as an example. When we have this basic numeral system, any type of distinctions or categories that we make of things are going to involve these basic 10 principles. It's unavoidable. Unity, distinction. Distinction requires two, a dyad. A dyad leads to a triad, right? Now you're going to say, yeah, but we don't all accept Pythagoras. We don't all accept that there's a Tetractys. I know that there are theoretically other systems and other types of geometry. I know all that. But for human predication, the possibility of human predication, what did we just say in Aristotle and Kant? What do we have? We had unity, universality, particularity, distinction, quantity. Any type of predication of quantity, of unity, distinction, particularity, one and many, must use this type of system. You must use unity, duality, distinction, many. It's unavoidable. 1, 2, 3 are universally basic and necessary. They're unavoidable. There is no possibility of predication that is meaningful that does not use 1, 2, 3. I am distinct from you. 1, 2. When we start building up from that, that's many. 4, 5, 6, 7, a billion. Okay? To say that object is red, that cat is on the mat. The cat is green on the mat. The picking out a specific cat. Cat picking out a specific type of thing that shares in catness. That is singular from a universal, one among many. Number is being brought into this equation. Do you see this? One cat amongst many cats. Unity, distinction, two. Dyad. Now, even Far Eastern philosophies, amazingly, were able to pick up on the fact that these universal principles like 1 and 2, unity, dyad, are all pervasive. They underlie language, thought, reality, the natural world. And so, as you could see, you could see why they would come to think that reality itself is some kind of mystical tension of dyad. Hence, yin-yang, right? Opposing forces. Night, day, male, female, black, white, 1, 0. Yeah, yin-yang, constant dialectical tension, push and pull of all reality, right? This is what characterizes all Far Eastern philosophies, okay? Now, and you can see why they would think that, because they're looking at the world, they're looking at these different types of things, numbers even. If you go back to the Bhagavad Gita and this kind of stuff, they're looking at these higher order principles, and they're saying there's ultimate unity and there's ultimate this, that. So they would come up with answers like everything's 1, everything's 2, or it's all just chaos flux, right? The different types of options you give. You see the Greeks doing the same type of thing. Everything's fire, everything's water, everything's permanence, everything's flux. Oh, it's all just chaos, atoms in motion, right? Atomism, whatever. The point is that all of these descriptors and universal narratives are still utilizing universal categories that require ultimate unity and ultimate distinction, or the principle of distinction itself. That's dyad, you see. This is how we're going to get to Trinity in a minute. But I'm just trying to show you that anytime we predicate, remember Aristotle's substance, quantity, quality, relation? Substance, one thing. Quantity, one thing, maybe two things, three things. Quality, type of thing, relation, next to that thing. This thing next to that thing, relation, two things. And from two, you build up to three and on to everything else. So all numbers are collapsible into 1, 2, and 3, and the first 10. And what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter about other theoretical mathematical systems. I'm not even debating that. I'm just saying that for communication and the preconditions that we mentioned earlier, whether Aristotle's preconditions or Kant's preconditions, some of those preconditions are things like quantity, which require unity and division or distinction or dyad. And from dyad, you get all the others, you see.